I'm sitting here at 3 a.m., hands still shaking, trying to process what just happened. I don't even know where to begin, but I need to get this out. My life completely changed tonight, and I'm not sure if I'm the worst stepfather in the world, or if I just experienced the most beautiful moment of my entire life. Some background: I've been married to my wife Sarah for 3 years now. She's 38. I'm 42, and she has a daughter Emma who's 16. When Sarah and I got together, Emma was 13, and honestly, I was terrified. I'd never been a father figure before, never even had younger siblings. I was this awkward guy who worked in IT, and suddenly I'm supposed to help raise a teenage girl going through puberty. Not exactly in my wheelhouse. But Emma, God, Emma made it easy. She was this bright, bubbly kid who welcomed me into their little family unit with open arms. She'd ask me about video games, we'd watch Marvel movies together, and she'd even come to me for help with her math homework. Within 6 months, she was calling me Mike Dad, her own creation, and I was completely smitten. This kid became the daughter I never knew I wanted. Sarah used to joke that Emma and I were two peas in a pod. We both loved terrible sci-fi movies. We both put way too much hot sauce on everything, and we both had this weird obsession with solving jigsaw puzzles. Sunday mornings became our thing, just Emma and me working on 1,000-piece puzzles while Sarah slept in. Those are some of my happiest memories. Emma's always been a good kid, honor roll every semester, never gets in trouble at school, polite to adults, helpful around the house. Her biggest rebellion was when she was 14 and decided she wanted to dye her hair purple. Sarah was horrified, but I thought it looked cool. Emma kept that purple streak for 2 years as a little reminder of the time Mike Dad had her back. That's why the past 6 weeks have been so confusing and heartbreaking. It started small. Emma would come home from school and immediately disappear to her room. She stopped asking for help with homework. Our Sunday puzzle tradition ended abruptly. She'd make excuses about having too much studying to do. The girl who used to chatter constantly about her day, her friends, her teachers, suddenly became monosyllabic. "How was school, Em?" "Fine." "Anything interesting happen?" "Not really." "Want to start that new puzzle we bought?" "Maybe later." Later never came. But the real red flag was the backpack. Emma had always been pretty casual about her stuff. She'd dump her backpack by the door, leave her jacket wherever she took it off, never really worried about people going through her things. We weren't snoopy parents, but if I needed to grab her phone charger or Sarah needed to check if she had her permission slip, Emma never cared. Suddenly, that backpack became Fort Knox. She'd walk in the door and immediately take it to her room. She'd bring it to the dinner table. She'd carry it to the bathroom. I swear I saw her take it to the kitchen when she got a glass of water at 2 a.m. When I mentioned it to Sarah, she brushed me off. "She's 16, Mike. Teenage girls are secretive. Maybe she's got a diary in there, or letters from a boy. Give her some space." But this felt different. This felt wrong. Emma wasn't just being secretive, she was being paranoid. She'd clutch that backpack like someone was going to steal it from her. Her eyes would dart around nervously when she thought we were looking at it. She started locking her bedroom door, something she'd never done before. I tried talking to her directly about 3 weeks ago. I knocked on her door and asked if we could chat. She reluctantly let me in, but kept the backpack on her lap the entire time. "I'm worried about you," I said. "You seem stressed lately. Is everything okay at school? Are your friends being nice to you?" She wouldn't make eye contact. "Everything's fine, Mike Dad. Just busy with school stuff." "Are you sure? You know you can talk to me about anything, right? I'm not going to judge you or get mad." For a second I thought she might open up. Her eyes got watery and she looked like she wanted to say something. But then she hugged that backpack tighter and said, "I'm really fine, just tired." I talked to Sarah again that night. I told her I was genuinely concerned, that this wasn't normal teenage behavior. Sarah got defensive. "You're being paranoid, Mike. She's not doing drugs. She's not pregnant. She's not in trouble. She's just growing up and needs some privacy. You need to back off before you damage your relationship with her." That stung. The last thing I wanted was to damage my relationship with Emma, so I backed off. But I kept watching, kept worrying. 2 weeks ago, things got worse. Emma started coming home later and later. She'd always been good about texting us when she'd be late, but now she'd just show up at 7 p.m. when she was supposed to be home at 4. Offering vague explanations about studying at the library or working on a group project. Her grades started slipping. Not drastically. But this kid who had never gotten below a B+ was suddenly getting C's on tests. When I asked her about it, she snapped at me for the first time ever. God, Mike, can you stop being so nosy? It's just one bad grade. Leave me alone. I was stunned. In 3 years, Emma had never raised her voice at me. She immediately looked sorry. But the damage was done. This wasn't my Emma. Last week, I noticed she'd been losing weight. Not dramatically, but her clothes were looser. Her face was a little thinner. When I mentioned it to Sarah, she said Emma was probably just going through a growth spurt. But I started paying attention to her eating habits. She'd push food around on her plate, claim she wasn't hungry, make excuses to leave the table early. I was starting to think some very dark thoughts. Was Emma sick? Was she developing an eating disorder? Was someone hurting her? The backpack obsession, the secrecy, the personality change, the weight loss. It all felt like pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. Then came yesterday. Sarah was working late, and Emma was supposed to be home by 5 p.m. 6 o'clock, came and went. 7 o'clock. At 7:30 I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I was starting to panic. I called Sarah, who said she'd try to reach Emma. I called Emma's best friend Jess, who said she hadn't seen Emma all day. I was about to call the police when Emma walked through the door at 8:15. She looked terrible. Her clothes were wrinkled, her hair was messy, and she had this exhausted, defeated look on her face. She was clutching that damn backpack like her life depended on it. "Where have you been?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "I was worried sick. I told you I was at the library. The library closes at 6 p.m. on weekdays." Eamon. She froze. For a second she looked like a deer in headlights. Then her face crumpled and she started crying. Not just tearing up, full-on sobbing. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I can't keep lying to you." My heart stopped. This was it. Whatever had been going on, whatever she'd been hiding, it was about to come out. "Emma, honey, whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. Just talk to me." She shook her head. "You're going to hate me. Mom's going to hate me. I've ruined everything." "That's not true. There's nothing you could do that would make me hate you. You're my daughter, Em. Nothing changes that." She looked up at me with these red, swollen eyes. "I need to take a shower first. I need to think about how to tell you." She went upstairs, still carrying that backpack. I heard the shower start, and I sat in the living room trying to prepare myself for the worst. Was she pregnant? Was she using drugs? Was she being abused by someone? My mind was racing through every horrible scenario. 20 minutes later, she came back downstairs in her pajamas, but she'd left the backpack in the living room. For the first time in weeks, it was out of her sight, and it was unzipped. I tried not to look. I really did, but as I was sitting there waiting for her to come back down, I could see inside the bag from my angle on the couch, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Small plastic bags. Dozens of them. Each one filled with white powder. My heart started pounding. My hands went numb. This sweet, innocent girl I'd helped raise for 3 years was dealing drugs. My Emma, my Sunday puzzle partner, my kid who used to ask me to check for monsters under her bed, was involved in something that could ruin her life. I sat there for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, staring at that backpack, trying to process what I was seeing. Part of me wanted to dump everything out and confirm my worst fears. Part of me wanted to run upstairs and pretend I hadn't seen anything. When Emma came back downstairs, she looked at me and then at the backpack. She saw the expression on my face and knew immediately that I'd seen something. "Mike, Dad," she whispered. "I can explain. I think you need to," I said quietly. "Please tell me what's going on. I love you, but I need to know the truth." She sat down across from me, pulled the backpack into her lap, and started crying again. "I wanted to tell you," she said. "I've wanted to tell you for weeks, but I was so scared. I was scared you'd be disappointed in me. Scared you'd think I was stupid. Scared you'd make me stop." "Stop what, Emma?" She took a shaky breath. I've been learning something. Something I thought you and Mom would think was a waste of time. But it makes me so happy, Mike, Dad. It's the only thing that makes me happy anymore." I was confused. This didn't sound like drugs. "What have you been learning?" God, this is so embarrassing. "I've been learning to bake." I blinked. "I'm sorry. What?" I've been learning to bake, she repeated, her voice getting stronger. Real baking. Like professional level stuff. I've been taking classes after school, and practicing, and studying, and I know it sounds stupid, but I think I want to be a pastry chef. I stared at her. Emma, I'm not following. What does baking have to do with? I gestured toward the backpack. She unzipped it fully and turned it toward me. This is why I've been so secretive. I looked inside the backpack properly for the first time. Those plastic bags I'd seen weren't filled with drugs. They were filled with flour, sugar, baking powder, cocoa powder, powdered sugar, cream of tartar, and a dozen other baking ingredients. Each bag was carefully measured and labeled with Emma's neat handwriting. 2 cups flour, maitash chocolate chip cookies, 1/2 cup cocoa powder, brownies, 1 cup powdered sugar, frosting. At the bottom of the bag was a folder absolutely stuffed with recipes printed from the internet, torn from magazines, and handwritten on index cards. There was a notebook filled with Emma's observations about different techniques, ingredient substitutions, and what worked and what didn't. I don't understand, I said. Why were you hiding this? Emma wiped her eyes. Because I knew you and Mom would think it was silly. You guys are so smart. Mom's a nurse. You work in computers. You've always been proud of my grades, always talked about college and having a real career. I was scared you'd think baking was a waste of time, that you'd make me quit and focus on important subjects. That's not. Let me finish, she interrupted. It started as an accident. You remember my friend Chloe's mom, Mrs. Rodriguez? She offered to teach me how to make cookies for the school bake sale. But when I got there, she was making these incredible pastries, like professional level stuff. She went to culinary school before she had kids. Emma's eyes lit up as she talked. Mike, Dad. It was like magic. The way she explained how gluten works, how different fats affect texture, how altitude changes baking times. It was like chemistry, but you get to eat the results. I was hooked. She pulled out her notebook and showed me pages of detailed notes. Mrs. Rodriguez said I had natural instincts for it. She offered to teach me more, but only if I was serious about learning. So I started going to her house after school 3 times a week. I'd tell you guys I was at the library because I was embarrassed. Why were you embarrassed? Because it's not a real job, she said quietly. At least that's what I thought you'd think. Baking is it's just making cookies and cakes, right? It's not like being a doctor or an engineer. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Emma, is that really what you think? That we judge you for being passionate about something? I don't know, she admitted. Maybe not judge, but disappointed. You're always so proud when I get good grades in math and science. You light up when I talk about college plans. I didn't think you'd light up if I told you I wanted to spend my life making pastries. What about the weight loss? The staying out late? I've been so anxious about hiding this that I haven't been eating much, she said. And I've been staying late at Mrs. Rodriguez's house, trying to perfect different techniques. She's been teaching me about bread, about pastry dough, about sugar work. I've been learning so much, but I've been so stressed about lying to you. I looked at this girl, this amazing, talented, passionate girl, and realized I'd been seeing all the wrong signs. The secrecy wasn't about drugs or bad behavior. It was about fear. Fear that the people she loved most wouldn't support her dreams. Emma, I said slowly, can you show me what you've been learning? Her face lit up. Really? Really? I want to see everything. For the next hour, Emma spread out her recipes, her notes, her carefully measured ingredients. She explained different types of flour, the science behind leavening agents, the importance of temperature control. She showed me photos on her phone of things she'd made, elaborate cakes, delicate pastries, artisanal breads that looked like they belonged in a fancy bakery. This is from last week, she said, showing me a picture of what looked like a professional-grade chocolate soufflé. It took me 6 tries to get the texture right, but Mrs. Rodriguez said it was better than what she made in culinary school. I stared at the photo. You made this. I made all of these, she said, swiping through dozens of photos. I've been documenting everything, trying to build a portfolio. Mrs. Rodriguez thinks I should apply to culinary school after high school. There's a really good program in the city that specializes in pastry arts. That's when it hit me. My daughter, this incredible kid I'd been so worried about, wasn't in trouble. She was following her passion. She was building skills, learning from a mentor, documenting her progress, planning for her future. She was doing everything right, except she was doing it all in secret, because she was afraid we wouldn't understand. Emma, I said, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. She nodded nervously. Do you love this? Like really love it? Not just because it's fun or because you're good at it, but because it feels like what you're supposed to be doing. Her whole face changed. The worry disappeared, replaced by pure joy. Yes, she whispered. Mike, Dad, I love it so much. When I'm baking, everything else disappears. I don't think about school stress or friend drama or anything else. I just focus on creating something beautiful and delicious. And when someone tastes what I've made, and their face lights up, it's the best feeling in the world. Then why? I asked. Would you ever think I'd want you to stop? She started crying again, but this time they were happy tears. Because I thought you'd think it was stupid. Emma, listen to me very carefully. Your mom and I don't care if you want to be a pastry chef or a rocket scientist or anything in between. We care that you're passionate about something, that you work hard, and that you're happy. And from what I can see, you're all three of those things. She launched herself at me, wrapping her arms around my neck. I love you, Mike, Dad. I love you too, kiddo. But I have to ask, can you forgive me for being so worried, for thinking something was wrong when you were actually doing something amazing? She pulled back and grinned. Only if you let me teach you how to make proper chocolate chip cookies. The ones from the tube are an insult to cookies everywhere. I laughed. Deal. But first I think we need to call your mom and tell her about your secret career. Are you sure she won't be mad? Your mom is going to be so proud she'll probably cry. And then she's going to demand you bake her everything in your recipe collection. We called Sarah, and I was right. She cried happy tears and immediately started asking Emma about her favorite recipes. When she got home an hour later, she brought ingredients for Emma to demonstrate her skills. I watched my daughter transform our kitchen into a professional workspace. She moved with confidence, measuring ingredients with precision, explaining techniques with the vocabulary of someone who'd been studying seriously. She made 3 different types of cookies, each one better than anything I'd ever tasted. This is incredible, Emma, Sarah said, biting into a perfectly chewy chocolate chip cookie. You're really talented. Mrs. Rodriguez says I have good instincts, Emma said proudly. She thinks I could get into a really good culinary program if I keep practicing and build a strong portfolio. Then that's what we'll do, I said. We'll support you however we can. Ingredients, equipment, classes, whatever you need. Really? Emma asked. Looking back and forth between us. Really, Sarah confirmed. We're proud of you for finding something you're passionate about, and for working so hard to get better at it. That night, after Sarah went to bed, Emma and I stayed up until 2 a.m. baking bread. She taught me about gluten development, proper kneading techniques, and the importance of patience in bread making. We talked about her dreams of opening her own bakery someday, about the classes she wanted to take, about the internships she hoped to get. I'm sorry I scared you, she said, as we waited for the dough to rise. I didn't mean to make you worry. I'm sorry I didn't create an environment where you felt safe to share your dreams. I replied. That's on me, not you. You did create that environment, she said. I was just scared. But you know what made me realize I was being silly? What? Last week when you were helping me with calculus, you said something that stuck with me. You said that the best part of math is that there are infinite ways to solve the same problem, and the most beautiful solutions are often the most creative ones. I remembered that conversation. Yeah, that's when I realized baking is just like math. There are formulas and ratios and chemical reactions, but the best bakers are the ones who understand the science well enough to be creative with it. Mrs. Rodriguez always says that baking is equal parts precision and artistry. I looked at this amazing kid who'd been hiding her light under a bushel, afraid we wouldn't appreciate her talents. Emma, you know what I think? What? I think you're going to change the world one perfect pastry at a time. She grinned. That's the plan, Mike, Dad. As I'm writing this, it's been 3 days since Emma's big revelation. She's been teaching me and Sarah different techniques every night. Our kitchen has been transformed into a bakery laboratory, and honestly, I've never seen Emma happier. This morning she asked if she could invite Mrs. Rodriguez over for dinner to meet us properly. She wants to thank her for being such an incredible mentor, and to show us some of the more advanced techniques she's learned. You think Mrs. Rodriguez would love that, I said. And I'm proud of you for finding such a wonderful mentor and for working so hard to learn from her. I'm proud of you too, Mike Dad, she said. For what? For being the kind of dad who would rather call 911 about cookie ingredients than ignore signs that I might be in trouble. Even though you were wrong about what was in my backpack, you were right to care that much. I realized she was right. My instincts as a parent had been correct. Something was wrong. Emma had been stressed, secretive, and unhappy. I just completely misread the situation. She wasn't in trouble. She was afraid to share something beautiful with us. The real tragedy would have been if she'd continued to hide her passion because she was afraid we wouldn't understand. The real success is that she finally felt safe enough to share her dreams with us. Tomorrow, Emma and I are going to visit a local culinary school to learn about their pastry program. She's nervous but excited, and I'm excited to support her in whatever way I can. I spent weeks worried that I was losing my daughter to some dangerous secret. Turns out, I was just meeting the young woman she's becoming, mixed-talented, passionate, dedicated, and brave enough to pursue her dreams. The backpack that terrified me for weeks is now sitting on our kitchen counter, filled with the tools of her trade. And I couldn't be prouder. UPED date, 6 hours later, Emma just brought me a slice of lemon cake she made this afternoon. It's perfect. I'm crying happy tears while I eat it. UPED date 2, next day, Mrs. Rodriguez came for dinner tonight. She brought Emma a set of professional pastry tools and told us that in 15 years of teaching, she's never had a student with more natural talent or dedication. Emma cried. We all cried. Best dinner ever. Final update. Emma decided she wants to start a small business baking for school events and neighbors to practice her skills and save money for culinary school. Sarah and I are her first investors. She's already booked to make cupcakes for 3 birthday parties next month. I'm the luckiest stepdad in the world.